amazing story in the book of Daniel. Now, Daniel was taking place during the time when the Israelites were in exile in Babylon. They were taken into exile around 586 BC. So Daniel now has lived over there, and he has served God and the king well. And so he's risen up in authority. Well, Belshazzar becomes the king. And Belshazzar's having this great feast, and they're partying, and he's proposing a toast to every god he can think of, the god of wood, the god of stone, the god of bronze. Well, in the middle of this party, a hand comes out and writes on the wall. And when Belshazzar sees that, he is terrified. His face turns pale, his knees knock together. He doesn't know what to do. So now there's this great search to try to find a man who can read these strange words that are written on the wall. Well, the queen remembers about Daniel. She remembers the wisdom that he had and how he helped King Nebuchadnezzar when Nebuchadnezzar had gone through terrible things. So they call Daniel in, and he says, yeah, I can read those words. And then Daniel says to Belshazzar, you praise the gods of silver and gold, of bronze, iron, wood, and stone, which cannot see or hear or understand. But you did not honor the God who holds his life in your hand. Therefore, he sent this hand to write this inscription. And then Daniel reads the words, and the middle word, this is what he says it means. You have been weighed on the scales and have been found wanting. And when you think about that, you've seen the scales of justice. If you have God and his holiness and his righteousness on one side, and over here is King Belshazzar, he has no chance. He has been weighed in the scales and has been found wanting. Now, that's a problem, but it's not just a problem for him. It's a problem for me, because I will be weighed in those same scales. How am I supposed to measure up to the righteousness and holiness of God? I have no chance. Not only do I recognize that's a problem, but the good news is God himself saw that that was a problem. It says in the book of 2 Corinthians that God made him who knew no sin, talking about Jesus, who lived his life sinlessly. God made him who knew no sin to become sin for us. Jesus actually became our sin. Our sins were heaped on top of him. And it says in the book of Romans that in his flesh, he crucified the sin. Now, Paul goes on in 2 Corinthians, and he says he did this so that we might become the righteousness of God. So let me tell you that whole thing again. God made him who knew no sin to become sin for us, that we might become the righteousness of God. You see, you may not see it when you look at me, but because of what Jesus has done, and because of my faith in him, I have become the righteousness of God. So now you have the scales of justice, and on one side you have God and his righteousness, and on the other side you have me. And I have become the righteousness of God. Not because I've done anything, but because I believe that it is true. And he will do the same thing for anyone who believes, because that's what he wants. He wants to live with us forever. So it is my prayer that we all seek to have faith in him, to live out the Christ life, so that we are the righteousness of God. God bless you.